We are in a different time with college football, man. You can't play the name of the school anymore. And what that means is you're going to actually have to come out and beat the opponent because NIL accidentally created more parity in college football. And I'm loving every minute of it now. You know, I love chaos in college football, and I'm the last person to expect any team to go undefeated. Matter of fact, if I had it my way, I would make sure one way or another all top 25 teams have a loss. That's just me because I think it makes the game more interesting, and I think it helps you realize that being undefeated is not what it's all cracked up to be. Look at the NFL. What if we had an expectation for every NFL team to be undefeated? It doesn't even make sense. You know, college football, I think that expectation kind of derived from the bigger schools simply could get the best players and simply could put them out there to beat smaller schools and stuff like that. And that's the way it was supposed to be. That's starting to change a little bit. And let's look at some of these upsets, man. Look, let's start with Tennessee and Georgia because for me this was actually an upset. A lot of people had Georgia winning the game, but when you watch the game, Tennessee should have dominated this game on all three phases. And in the beginning they did, but then eventually they kind of fell off a little bit, okay? I actually blame the Tennessee loss on the coaches. That was a coaching mistake, a big coaching mistake. And I'm going to tell you why. So my reason is you're in the fourth quarter. I think they had two or three timeouts left. I don't even think they used the timeout in the second half, but in case they did, they had minimum two timeouts left. It's 7 seconds on the clock. The clock has stopped. It's third down. Your kicker wants the ball to be in the center part of the field, in between the hashes. He wants to be in the center, not to the right, not to the left, or anything like that. Why don't you run a play with your quarterback, get to the center of the field, kneel down, call a timeout, and have your kicker kick from where he's comfortable? Why not? It's third down. You have timeouts. Why did you not do that? But instead, no, they choose to kick from the left hash. The kicker comes out, hits the ball wide right. And then, of course, you go to overtime and you lose. For me, that's coaching. It's third down. You have timeouts. Your kicker wants to kick from the center. 7 seconds. Get to the center between the hash marks. Get the quarterback down, call a timeout, get your kicker out there to kick a field goal and end this game and have your victory over Georgia. I don't know what the coaches were thinking in this case. I know they lost their minds. Head coach looked like he lost all his confidence once the game went to overtime. I'm not going to lie, especially with those video captures that they had of him. He looks like he lost it completely. So Georgia does upset. And, for me, I'm thinking about the coaches for Tennessee. You go up 21-14, and it's like, why are you coasting? You're playing Georgia. It's not like they're going to stop trying to beat you. They're going to do everything that they can to get you comfortable, to think that they can't come back, and all of a sudden, boom, you're going to overtime, and boom, you lost the game. Why? Why are you out here calling, I don't know, time wasting plays on the offense that are not executing so well? You know what your offense was executing out there. You know what they were doing that was working. You know what the weaknesses of that defense is. Why are you out there not trying to score on every drive? Seriously, they went on a rut after scoring 21 points. Matter of fact, they gave up the lead after going up 21-14. They gave up the lead and had to come back. But when they started coming back, look at the plays that they were calling. Everything was working. Why not stick to what is working? The defense is giving you the answer. Hey, this will work today. Take it. Maybe I'm being too complicated. Maybe I'm thinking too far ahead, but I don't know why these guys get too comfortable. You're playing Georgia. The game is not over until the game is over. I don't care what the score is. You can be up 28-0 on Georgia if you're Tennessee, and the game is not over until there's 4 zeros on that clock. Period. Until then, you haven't beat Georgia. And in this case, you kind of learned that lesson. Not exactly 20. I'm exaggerating with the score, but you can be ahead and you get too comfortable and they can still come back and beat you. They still got the dogs to do that. Oh, and it gets better. It gets better. That was not the only upset of the weekend. What about Georgia Tech and Clemson? They go into Clemson and actually get a victory. I was pleasantly shocked about this one, though, because Georgia Tech is not a bad team, but Clemson plays to the level of their opponent. They don't really play at their level. They don't play their game. When they played LSU, they stepped up. When they played Georgia Tech, they took a big step down. And it's kind of been that way for a few years with Clemson. And that's why they lose some of these close games. But it's not that they're really getting out coached or anything like that. But the players, like I said, you cannot play the name of the school. You're not playing Georgia Tech as a weak team anymore. Parity does exist in college football now. And you can get beat by some of these smaller schools. So you got to come out and do what you got to do in the time that you're given. But not come out here and be like, you know what? It's Georgia Tech. We're going to win anyway. Because then you go out there and you get beat. And then you see people on the news going, oh, what if is it time to get rid of Dabo Sweeney? No, it's not time to get rid of Dabo Sweeney. I don't even know why they're talking about it. It's definitely not time to get rid of Dabo Sweeney. But if they do, I won't be shocked. It's college football. They move on from coaches pretty quickly. But I think Dabo is in a safe place down there in Clemson. I don't think the Clemson faithful have anything to worry about Dabo leaving. I could be wrong. I'm not going to sit here and pretend that's not possible. I could definitely be wrong. But in my true humblest opinion, they need to keep Dabo for every reason that, he brought all the success to that school with everything that he did with the program. And he can still do it again. But remember, there's parity now. The best players are not just going to the same schools anymore. Even Georgia Tech can beat Clemson. And trust me, there's other worse games that we're going to talk about as well. And this is kind of one of those where I say there's some more that we're going to talk about is Arch Manning getting booed in front of the crowd, man. These guys are playing UTEP at home. And I'm not going to lie, Arch Manning struggled a little bit. He struggled a little bit, and that's okay, man. When he came into the season with all the hype, even before the Ohio State game, I said, let the kid play. Let him mature. Let him figure out what he has to do to be in the mental space to be a winner and all this stuff. That Ohio State game was a tough opening game for him, okay? And this UTEP game, in a lot of ways, actually looked the same way. Yes, they got the victory, but the way he played was subpar. And you know what? That's okay, man. He's young. He has a lot of learning he's still going to do. He's still a great player. We never took away the fact that he's a great player. But the fans need to know that what he's going out there and doing in front of 100,000 people is not easy. It's not easy. Give the boy time to develop. Let him play. Let him learn the game. A lot of people were like, oh, he's going to be the first pick and all this stuff. I think all the expectations just got too much. But then again, man, he's from the Manning family. He's going to be okay no matter what. All right. And I'm not even speaking from the stance of money. That's not even what I'm talking about. But he has two uncles who are Super Bowl winning champions who have done everything in the NFL that can get him in the right place, the right position to be successful. Plus, he's got a great coaching staff that can teach him up and coach him up to get him in the right position to be a winner as well. He just needs the time. In all honesty, from what I'm seeing so far, I hope he progresses and does better this season. But for his sake, I really hope he stays and develops one more year after this. I hope he doesn't go to the league. I hope he actually stays back and truly develops one more year. I think he'll be okay after that. But the hype, even Paul Feinbaum coming out and saying, oh, the hype train is over and all that, it was never needed. It was too much attention on him. And I'm glad now that people are backing away and just realizing he's human. Let him be human. The game that I had penciled for the most part, and I didn't even end up finishing it because of the weather delay, Miami just beat South Florida. And you know what? The weather delay could have a lot to do with it. Maybe you lose all that momentum and everything. The way that game started was actually pretty good, but Miami just ran away with the game after the weather delay. Look, listen, guys, Miami is real in every way possible. This is a really good team, and having Carson Beck as the quarterback of that team really expands on everything that they can do, and it truly changes up the way that we have to look at that team from here on out. So they have a tough schedule. They got Florida coming up for the Hurricanes, and Florida has nothing to lose. They have everything to gain in beating the Hurricanes. So the Hurricanes just got to stay on their game. Florida just has a tough schedule this year, and I got to make a whole video actually going over Florida's schedule, but it's tough. But I think Miami is real, and as long as they clean up their schedule and beat Florida this coming weekend, this is a guaranteed playoff team, that's for sure. Texas A&M, here's another upset. They go into Notre Dame and get a victory. Notre Dame, man, 2 weeks in a row. But look at the teams they played. They lost to Miami in the end, and then they lost to Texas A&M at home in the end. They just got to complete the game, man. They just got to finish up the game. They can play with anybody out there right now, and they just have to complete and finish the game all the way through. And until they do that, man, they might get another loss on their schedule throughout the season. This was a tough one though for them. And even as I pull up their schedule here, I do want to see their schedule. Let me get that schedule up. But Notre Dame, let's see. So yeah, they lost to them. So they got Purdue next, Arkansas, Boise State, North Carolina State. They got USC at home, which I think they should be able to win that game. That's just judging it from now. They go to Boston College. They bring in Navy. They got what is it? Pittsburgh. They go visit Pittsburgh, which could be a dangerous game right there. Then Syracuse and then Stanford. So the toughest games that they had on their schedule to keep them ranked in the top 10 are long gone. Now, looking at the schedule, they're going to need some help from the top 11 teams because it's 11 plus one out. So they're going to need some help. They're going to need some guys to lose some more games in there to get them out of there so they can actually bounce back in. Notre Dame might miss the playoffs this year. I don't know. It's only week 3, so week 2 going into week 3. So we gotta wait to find out. But Notre Dame is kind of in trouble right now. I don't know if they can make it back. Remember, they're 0-2 and they're ranked number 24. When the official rankings come out, maybe they're not ranked. We don't really know where they will be ranked. But when the official rankings come out and they, 0-2 to start the season, and we have to wait until November to find out. But once that happens, will they even be ranked? And that's something we got to pay close attention to. I don't even know if they will be ranked. So time will tell. Let's find out. The Battle of Ohio happened. Ohio, out of the MAC, did go visit Ohio State this weekend. So this was, you know what? Ohio State won the game. Okay, let's just be very straightforward with this. But the way Ohio played, man, this is a morale booster for them. And this is kind of why I'm such an advocate for saying these smaller schools need to play the big schools in preseason games that do not count. A game like this where Ohio is a win for their team, and they beat West Virginia. Obviously, they come into Ohio State and lose, but now they can go on into the MAC conference and do some serious damage, man. This team is good. This team is very good, and the way that they played Ohio State really showed a lot. Their defense showed up. Their offense never backed down. Their offensive line actually held up pretty good. They gave up a couple sacks and all that stuff, but look at the talent discrepancy here. However, that shows me a lot of hope for them in the MAC conference. Um, I hope this team will definitely make it to a bowl game and all that stuff. But Ohio State, one fault for them right now, and they did it in the Texas game. They also did it in this game and against Grambling, for that matter of fact. But they're trying to force the ball to Jeremiah Smith a little too much. It's like they're trying to force it. They're so obvious about it that they're not letting all the other players or all the other receivers just be themselves fully. It's like it's almost as if you can tell the coaches on the sideline are like, if Jeremiah is there, give it to him. Look there first and then check out if you need to. But let Jeremiah Smith be Jeremiah Smith. He's going to be himself. Let the plays naturally develop. If he's the first check, get the ball to him if needed. If he's not the first check, give somebody else a chance, man. You see Carnell Tate out here balling, and no one's even talking about him because of Jeremiah Smith, and that's okay. That's okay. We know Jeremiah Smith is the best receiver on the team, well, in the country. So we're not questioning that part. Every defense is double and triple teaming Jeremiah Smith. We know. It's not a secret. But get the other boys a lot more involved versus the way that they looked against Ohio, trying to force the ball to Jeremiah Smith so much that the scoreboard didn't really dictate how the game truly went, you know? So that's one fault that I think Ohio State has to figure out. It's like, yes, get the ball to Jeremiah Smith, but do different things. Move him around before the snap. Just do different things with him. Have him line up in the backfield. Maybe they'll think he's a running back. Who knows? I don't know, but you're going to have to play around to get him the ball. It's not going to be so simple, and every defense wants to take him away. Every defense you play this season will want to take him away. So you got to come out and do something a little bit different with Jeremiah Smith. and I can't wait to see what they do. The Buckeyes are number one. Let's keep that in mind.